too?
One.
Because it's like,
Good evening. We're here at the Willie Jones Gallery with Curtis Grayson III. He's here as part of a joint show with David Coleman called Unconfined Lines. David's from East 5, New Jersey. He's not new to Philadelphia. He's been in Philly at shows going back to the old October Gallery shows. So he's been around a little bit. So Curtis, it's your first time in the gallery, and we're glad that you decided to allow us to show your work. So, you know, we always start by asking what motivated you to get into this, but I want to do something a little different. I want to talk about where you are presently in the art world, in terms of this kind of work that you're doing, the mediums that you're using. Then we get back into what created all this.
Okay. Currently, mixed media artist, using a lot of fabric, collage, bold bright colors, acrylic paint. Just loving the opportunity just to be able to just show a lot of energy in the work. Doesn't matter if it's figurative, abstract, just modern, contemporary. Just doing a lot of research.
Did you think that you would get to where you are when you first started? I know that, you're using multiple mediums. And I'm sure you started out one item at one point. What was that, a crayon or?
All the way back, that's probably the crayon, I guess, from there, just being experimental, using as far as a lot of colors. I was that young child that knew that I wanted to be an artist, or in the school system, understanding that somehow art was only maybe 30, 35 minutes compared to my other subjects that was longer term, like maybe 45 minutes, 55 minutes. So I was creating more art, more time for art.
So what captured you at an early age? What was it that made you, move in this direction?
I would say probably when I was like, 4 or 5, I just loved it just to create. That's what my parents said, I was always drawing, picking up the crayon and drawing, just creating. But I think probably at another time frame, seeing the inspiration from my favorite television show at the time was Good Times.
So was there images that got you when you watched Good Times?
Yeah, when I seen Jimmy J.J. Walker in the room painting on the easel, and then I later, of course, learned it wasn't his paintings; it was the work of Ernie Barnes. So that I always knew that I wanted to make sure that I had an easel in my living room somewhere that I was able to paint.
So Ernie Barnes is you mentioned that name. Is that an early influence of you?
Oh yeah, definitely. Ernie Barnes, and then Jacob Lawrence. So I just gravitated to a lot of color, at a young age. Seeing them as African American artists, it definitely resonated with me. The connection, from there. Seeing images of myself.
Did you encounter along the way, tidbits? I'm sure you got to meet some of these artists that some have gotten their flowers, some haven't, and I'm sure you and I can both talk about those who deserve to get their flowers. But as you were going into this and realizing that this is what you want to do, did you try to hang out with artists and be in their presence to see what you could pick up from them and the nuances of being an artist?
Yeah, starting out, getting into like the whole early stages of the art, of trying to become a professional artist. I remember coming to October Gallery here in Philadelphia and seeing all the different artists from across the country. We were running into artists like, at the time, it was Charles Bibbs and Larry Poncho Brown, and seeing Andy Lee, and just seeing, so many of these artists that I was able to, Frank Frazier, that I was able to just walk up and actually have conversations with. And they actually, was able to talk to, other artists.
How did it moved you in terms of your artistic desires?
The needle was moved quick because I seen that it was possible to be able to create the work. A lot of understanding as far as the reproductions of the work. I had an opportunity of meeting for a brief moment William Towler, talking to him briefly, there at the show. It was just amazing just for being there. I wanted that buzz, that opportunity. They were rock stars. I see the crowds were like all around them, looking at their work and just talking to them. It was pretty amazing.
See, when I say me and Robin, we started out as collectors. When we got to meet, it's interesting how we met all the people that influenced your artistic style, had some impact on how you paint today. And it's just interesting because you're right, they were characters. And they were, they wanted to sell their artwork, so they were probably being that way towards a potential buyer. But deep down inside, a lot of those artists were deep with some nice, those are decent experiences that you got.
Yeah.
And you came back and forth to the gallery, October Gallery. So you just didn't come at one time. How many times did you attend that show?
Well, maybe like 3 or 4 times until I actually became an actual participant. Exhibitor. That's when I made my big break, they say.
Did you as part of your development, traverse and go to other shows, like the fine art show in New York? The reason why I'm asking that question is because I think as an artist, you need to see the venues where the work is being shown and see what kind of work is people are gravitating to. Did you consider that as you evolved before you started presenting your work? Did you come with a concept and you say, okay, I think people will find this work acceptable? Or did you not think that way?
No, I definitely, from seeing those artists there at the October Gallery, then going to like a National Black Fine Art Show at the Buck Building in New York, just understanding how work needed to be presented, as far as frame, packaging, artists have just the whole package of to show your work, to be able to exhibit your work, to be able to talk about your work. If the artist had the ability to sell the work, so I was able to get a lot of tutelage from a lot of knowledge I was getting, bits and pieces from a lot of artists that I was coming across, kind of compiling them to kind of like help myself and give myself a lot of good footsteps in the path to be able to get on.
So you're like a young guy, so you've been in the world of artists who are deserving of flowers. I say people who deserve their flowers, to artists that are in their 70s and some that are in their 80s that are still around painting and still going to those shows and still have a presence. So with all that background, you think you made the right decision pursuing this?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's my passion. I breathe art.
What drives you?
Just to be able to know that I can create. I got given talent, gifts to be able to create something, and I'm reserving history. It's going to be here when I'm gone.
So let's talk about your creative process. Do you grab your thoughts from everyday things that you see or that you participate in? Because when you look at the canvas and the canvas is blank, you put something on there, and that something's coming from something or some things. So is that your process? Because I know artists sometimes it's hard to explain to a non-artist their process.
Well, my pretty much, I would say my mantra of going on the easel, on the canvas, one, personally myself, I only create and paint when I'm at peace. When I'm at, when there's no disruption and harmony of, things in my mind or, or other feeling upset.
Is that a certain hour of the day?
I'm sorry. It can be at night. It can be in the day. I work various different times. When I can. A lot of my work has been late in the later hours as well. But when I go to the campus to work, whatever, sometimes I may have images already or some reference photos or something, or just the creative juices is going, maybe small sketches or something, then I just go and start to work. From looking and listening to so many different artists of how they work, get bits and pieces. I remember fortunate enough to be able to go to in Newark at in Mary Baraka's house when he had his poetry sets there, blues, and like he said, somebody asked him, when do you create? When do you write? He said, like 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, when I know that my phone is not ringing, and no one is, calling me or, ringing at the doorbell. He's able to create in that zone. So when artists get into that zone, it's perfect. You just run with it.
And do you, as part of your process, do you stay at it? Some people may take a stab at 3 or 4 paintings at one time. Do you operate like that, or do you just go do one and say, you know what, I can't split my mind like that?
No, glad that you asked that. Because of certain artists I follow, as far as Jacob Lawrence and Pablo Picasso, they had multiple images, that they were able to work on. Like when Jacob Lawrence was working on the migration series, he was like working on 6 to 8 to 10 pieces of it at a time, just going through and just working, whatever. So I love to do that, to work multiple pieces and sometimes different genres or different styles. I say myself as a visual artist, I can compare myself, I can be like the KRS-One of hip hop as far as, he has so many different styles. I have so many different styles that I like to work in, abstract, figurative, semi-abstract, collage, African expressionism. So I like, if I have time to sculpture, I can sculpt as well. I don't mind. I like to be able to move out of different categories so that they can't just keep me confined in one space.
So let me ask you this question. You an artist, and you approached by a gallery such as the Ruby Jones Gallery, and we want to put a show together. And at that point, an artist may have some work, or an artist may generate some work. So, and I'm saying that to say that in this business, you want work that is fresh, but then you want work that is not so fresh, that may have been part of your process. Mm-hmm. You follow me?
Right.
And when you select a show, the work for a show, do you think like that, or you say, I'm just going to gather up 30 pieces I think people may be interested in buying?
No, actually, I use a strong thought process of putting or curating the show as I'm self-curating the show to get ready for things. Great artists that I know, like from like an example from like Larry Concho Brown. He used to always say to us, myself is like, you can fool a lot of people, but you can't fool artists. Like if artists go to a show, they will look not at just the work, they're looking at the year to know if that artist has been busy, if that artist has been diligent, and that artist has been working.
So what do you mean by that? So
the year, meaning as far as
so you got pieces that dated back in 1989.
Right. Then we know that this artist hasn't been working. This artist just pulled out a lot of things out of the archives and just put it on the shelf. Now, yes, something old can be new for someone that's never seen, but we want to see, have you been busy? Have you been working? So I take pride.
That's an interesting comment, because so you're saying that's from an artist's point of view. Artists would be able to say, Curtis hasn't been working because his piece is back 2000, 2010, 2012. So what has he been doing?
Right.
Right? So, and it's important it's important for people to know that you're staying current. Is that what it is?
Yeah, you definitely want to still show that you're creative and you're working. So I like to be able to show, if I'm showing a collection of maybe some prior work, some older work, I definitely want to show a lot of newer work that's there to show this is something new that I work on. Maybe I work on a new series or introducing some new work that I'm trying to, establish. To really show them.
But eventually, you build up an inventory.
Mm-hmm.
An inventory means that you have works that may be 5, 6, 7 years old. So what's your feeling about that? Because I know a lot of artists that got work, and some of the work, I'm using the word dated because it's not current.
Sure.
But dated doesn't mean it's bad.
Right.
Dated means it shows the evolution. And I always tell artists that it's always good when I think about putting on a show and what the artist should, and I don't necessarily ask the artist or tell the artist what I think. They should be, I leave it up to the artist. But progression and showing the artist's progression, I think is always good to show in the show. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I've had my retrospective show like work on comprised of 25 years at the Leader Call.
That's how long you been at it?
Yeah,
that's a good number.
Yeah, that was like at least about maybe 5 years ago. So put some time in. But what I did was that was my first retrospective show that I had put on, and that was at that was back at my alma mater at Arts High School in New York, which is like the first school of arts, and it was dedicated at the Alita Caldwell Gallery. Well, they named the gallery after my art teacher, which was Alita Caldwell. While she was the principal to a lot of people that were there, and she was my sculpture teacher years ago, sophomore year. And so I came back and I did a retrospective show. So I showed I went and got some actual pieces from my high school years, all the way up to the present. And just showed a nice collection of my work of the growth, like you said. So I had everything from printmaking, some actual graphites, oil paintings, acrylics, mixed media. I think I had a lot of collages as well.
So you sound like that you are well versed in the aspects of being an artist. Do you think you are?
Still a student to the game, constantly still learning.
No, but you just mentioned a lot of things that you just like ran off, dot. And some artists I've met, their mind is one way and they're not thinking the other aspects of it. It seems like you've been exposed.
Yeah, I mean, definitely heavily educated in the arts. As far as from at Arts High School, so we did as far as photography, printmaking, as far as wood, different types of wood cuts, graphics, acrylic paint, oil, collage. So we were introduced to a broad range. And like they say, if you have a love for things, you will kind of gravitate to those. As far as how I just like to work and just I don't mind working in various different type of materials and mediums. As I just kind of continue to keep building or evolving myself. That's all.
That's interesting. So you're not afraid to approach a canvas and attack it with different mediums.
Yeah, no. I enjoy it. I enjoy the challenge, yes.
So do you believe that you've been, from your point of view, been successful in making sure that your work is being out there, is being seen, and being acknowledged by collectors? Because this is my question. As a collector, you want collectors to have your work.
Yes.
Collectors keep it, they hold on to it, they value it. And what's your message to collectors?
My message to collectors are, I'm constantly continuing to evolve and putting the work out there. Everything that I paint does not become a print. So I'm very selective of if I do produce something that's a print. Now I'm moving more into either just the G plays and still even lower numbers in the edition to still keep the integrity of the actual image that's there from the original, and if it's a reproduction of it, still a very low number, so it can still increase and have the value for it. As far as with the collectors, definitely trying to continue to establish that relationship, building collectors and putting out work and attracting more collectors as galleries as well.
Do you feel that you've been you've been to different shows, you've been to some of the key shows, they're starting to come back a little bit. They kind of, from my perspective as a collector, the shows kind of, I wouldn't say died off, but they just were not the way that they seem to be going now. Would you agree that the art world is allowing for an artist like you to be showcased?
Yeah, I think everything has a change and a cycle. So it's like when I came into the art scene, the regular print market was slowly fading. But still originals was there. So now it's at the point where you can still connect with a lot of collectors. Over time, I have my own studio now. So at that time when I was starting, I was just painting in my home. Now I have a separate studio that's separate from the home that I'm able to create work and also bring as far as collectors to my studio to observe and see work.
How is that experience? I mean, I like going into the studios of artists because there's stuff in there that the artists may not necessarily want nobody to see, but then you see it and say, you're like, oh, I ain't fit. You say, well, what's wrong with this? And that's a good experience because plus you get to learn about the artist. So you're okay with bringing the collector into your space?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, to have collectors come to your studio is a blessing. It's a great opportunity because one, the atmosphere is very relaxed. They get to really see everything. Work that's unfinished, and we do have collectors that flip through things that's way in the back. things that you think that's not going to be seen is what might spark their attention.
I'm one of those kind of collectors.
Yeah.
I used to go to many galleries and make my way in the back. Because if you spend some time in the gallery space, I'm not talking about 20, 30 minutes, but you got to spend some time and you start getting engaged with the gallery owner. You'd be surprised what access that provides you with.
Yeah.
That's important because a lot of collectors like to know their artists, and if you allow them to have that space, that intimate space, that's always good because people buy things for that.
Yeah, I've seen how my career is starting to even evolve even more from having my studio, so collectors are coming to the studio, having as far as different art facilities that are coming also to pretty much curate to see my work and making decisions, and it also helped as far as with me having now my fully engaged website, investing in that because it helps draw the attention as far as what I'm trying to put out as far as the work.
So what support do you give to fellow artists? I mean, I know some artists out there that are struggling, some artists that are out there that are trying to say, well, is it really worth this? And some of them are very talented and think that way. Do you make it your business to keep those less encouraged?
Yeah, no, definitely. Because it was constantly being passed to me. So I always say the knowledge is key, and the information is powerful, and we have to share it. and not be afraid to share it.
Well, I will say that you grew up around some pretty good, strong, sophisticated, knowledgeable artists, and you just sat there and just sponged it all up.
Yeah, so it is like a sponge, and still, I mean, but those relationships, really, are strong, and to be able to get that information, to be able to, ask questions, and they were willing to share. I tell people, even as myself being young, starting out as an artist, I didn't make a lot of mistakes that maybe some older artists made, because I stayed close to a lot of artists, and they would share information, say, don't walk here, there's a pothole there, step over here. I always tell people, whereas I knew I always wanted to be an artist, but I knew I had a big support system. So when you ask me as far as like, how did you know, whatever, I knew, yes, when I had that first kind of crayon and everything, but my parents was very instrumental as far as sharing and providing for me. My mother was from Durham, North Carolina. She went to school with Ernie Barnes. I was trying to make that connection, like, you don't know him, like he was like 2 years above her. I think it was Durham High School up in North Carolina. And he played football, and of course, he was the artist.
Right.
So I was always saying that these are like little nuggets of that I know this is my direct path. The first time I was able to show a little collection of my work, I started where I did a jean jacket for a friend of mine. I did it on the back of a jean jacket, and people loved it. It was an African mask, and then from the mask, people said, maybe you should put this on canvas. I started doing some canvas. This is when I first started out as a painter. I had an introduction to some friend of mine. Said, I'm gonna let you set up a meeting so you can go to her friend's house so you can view some of the work. The artist was Margaret Slade Kelly, famous artist from New Orleans, jazz artist and everything. And so she took me in and viewed my work, gave me a harsh critique, but I was already used to critiques from arts high school, so it gave me a hard critique and got to see my work and everything from there. And then again, still those connections just kept evolving. When I got into the fabric, it was a meeting at the Art Atrium when I got to meet Benny Andrews, and he signed my book, Stay Strong, Young Artist, and I was just like, I just gravitated to fabric. Now I loved as far as Romeo Bearden, his collage, but something about Benny with Andrews with the fabric is what I started using in all my because I like texture.
It's interesting about your comments. When I talk to artists, I always bring up Benny Andrews, those folks that are pioneers, and a lot of folks don't know who they are, and they're out here painting, and I said, look, you gotta know your history. Everybody always gotta know your history to support what you're trying to do so you can understand what it is that you're attempting to do. But you got something that a lot of artists, I'm sure some artists did have what you had, but you took advantage of those opportunities, because to be exposed to artists like that and to talk to them, and it tells you artists are giving people.
Right. Yeah, like I said, just to be able to just have those conversations and to get that knowledge, from these artists right there.
Did you say to yourself, I'm gonna, I met this artist, I met that artist, I'm just gonna, I like what they're using, their mediums, and I'm gonna, not do what they do, but kind of figure out how they go about with their process and apply it to mine.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's very easy to try to mimic someone's style, and so early on, that's what was happening at first. I mean, my bold, bright colors and everything is because that first attraction was Jacob Lawrence. So all my colors was sharp, bold, bright. Just colors just bouncing off. It was, mesmerizing my color palettes. you know, and it still shows, you know. It's very difficult for me to create a black and white piece because I just love throwing color, and sometimes I have to restrain myself if I have to do a black and white piece.
Have you done it?
Yes, yeah.
It's been difficult. You want to add a little.
I still love to add the color, but no, I mean, I've done some, of course, printmaking. I've done as far as like a complete abstract black and white, but also I had added just all fabric, and then I went on a search. So like, as I select my colors, same as I go into my fabric, I shop for fabrics or whatever, you know, and I mix and match whatever I need to do for fabrics as well.
That's great, man. And, you know, I must say, the title of this show, Unconfined Learning. Who did Kyle come up with this name? And you guys found it acceptable. I mean, did you? Was there a connection between the title of the show and your work?
Yeah, no, definitely. The undefined lines. I wanted to show my with the newer pieces, my figures. What was happening was I created a large body of work with the abstracts. The abstracts, most people will see my abstracts from individual, maybe a couple pieces here and there. But it was, I think, in 2018, 2019, I did a big show at South Orange Performing Arts Center, the Iris Gala in South Orange. And so it was a solo show, and I had about 30 pieces in that show, all dedicated, it was all abstract. And so what I seen was I focused for a whole year just working on this work, all these abstracts from, you know, a canvas, wood, the bird's nest, all different variations of sizes. And what I noticed was people was loving the work, and people was, you know, of course, buying the abstracts. But then people started asking me, do you do any figures? Like I do, I paused. I took a page and just paused and just worked on this body of work. So sometimes when people, they only see certain things, like my music pieces, I do a lot of jazz.
So do you have a preference?
No preference. The difference of what I noticed or whatever, with the abstracts or whatever, there's no pre-sketch. It's just organic. Everything just happens, you know.
Before I forget that his work, as well as David Coleman's work, can be viewed on the website. And then all we have to do is go to rudyjonesgallery.org, and their work is there. But I just wanted to make sure the audience was aware of that, because the work is fantastic, and it's great, and you should be proud of yourself.
Thank you.
And I'm saying it with all sincerity because I've been around, and the people who you have built your lineage on is well respected. You got good. You come from good, and what do you say? You come from good stock. Our stock is very, very good. Anybody have any questions? Villanova man?
No questions.
William?
I'm sure I'll have some later.
You got any questions in the audience? Well, you got any closing commentary you want to make? Because I just want to say we really appreciate your work, and we are glad that you gave us the opportunity. I sometimes ask myself if I can get an artist to show in my space. You never know. And you were a willing participant, and I'm just saying that the work is great.
I actually have a question.
Yes.
How do you source your fabric? Do you go to like Fab Scraps, or do you use like secondhand clothes?
Variety. I mean, I go to different. I know a lot of sisters that have either their own shops, fabric shops. Some, I might, go to Harlem or, in North and all over. Also, some used fabric when I was doing, either like a lot of denim as well. Mainly like what happens with the fabric is I'm going against the fashion faux pas, meaning as far as traditionally, you wasn't supposed to mix plaid with stripes, polka dots with kente cloth. You see what I'm saying? Paisley with with plaid. I'm forcing everything together and creating some type of harmony, creating some type of illusion, but also some type of rhythm that's happening. I'm just trying to create a rhythm when I do the abstracts to give you like a little more understanding of how the whole abstracts came about, because everything is all based off of one principle. I was just sitting in my couch one time and I had this this idea that I thought of like I pictured like a cowrie shell, like an African cowrie shell. Or I always tell some people, or just think of like the shape of just an almond, and it was just bouncing off a cliff, and I'm just seeing it going from left to right, side to side, with like water coming down. As I'm watching that, and it's in slow motion, but I'm seeing it, and my eyes is going from left to right, all the way down, just watching this thing. That's what's happening in my abstracts, where it starts off from one here, and it's just moving, bouncing like this all the way through the painting, up and down, all the way through. There's some little connectors, something back here. There's like the little connectors or whatever. I usually say like that's like almost like my interpretation of like from the movie The Matrix, when he went through the birth canal and he was like sliding through. That's pushing energy or whatever out through from one side to the other and bringing it back almost like a speedway. It was interesting how one of my, sometimes you can create things and then the mystery gets evolved and open, established later. I was talking to one of my former martial arts teachers, Shaha Efedishi Matsi, who had just recently passed. And I said, I think I finally got it, understanding that it was showing the chi, it was showing the energy, the universal energy that's constantly flowing of a whole type of unity, where it was just fun, it was just a whole movement, no beginning, no end, and infinite, constantly moving through, and it never stops. So that's what happens with your eye. You can never keep it stagnant. It will always keep moving and constantly flowing. And so that's what we're just dealing with in the abstracts. I hope that answers the question now. But yeah, I love just finding fabric. Sometimes I may go look for certain colors that I'm looking at. And I mean, I have a good stacks of fabrics, or it's just like me going to buy paint when I'm looking for fabrics that I'm just building or just finding things and I just hold it on for this time to the work.
I do have a question. You mind?
No, go ahead.
You're well mentored. I know that you're a teacher and a mentor.
Yeah.
God love you for that. We need more black men teaching.
Yeah.
Give a shout out to somebody up and coming
Shout out to
that
somebody
we should all keep an eye out for.
Oh, right now, oh gosh, that's easy on the top of my head. I would say Kyle Adams. For those that may not know, you can Google this young brother. I'm trying to jump in and be a collector myself from him.
Yes.
Kyle Adams is one of the sons of his father, who's Alonzo Adams, very well-known artist, figure artist. They're calling his son the young Charles White. I mean, if you see his drawings, his pencil drawings, it's outstanding, amazing, and talking to, and I'm just marveled, he's very young. And his collectors is, and when I talk to I know his parents, his mother and father's like, the work is selling out before it even hits the show.
He's a Temple graduate.
Yes, graduate from Temple, yes. So yeah, that's just amazing right there, just seeing that, you know, and then another, just, you know, I mean, you can look at, what's his name?
You got some great artists out there in your area, in New Jersey.
Yeah.
There's some good stuff out there.
Yeah, so, you know, just constantly just keep pouring in, you know, but I do that every day, all day when I'm at school as well. You know, I teach, I'm an educator, so I teach at Columbia High School. So I'm always pushing and showing my students what I know that they're missing in college, of showing them how to sell their work, or, you know, or telling them and teaching them that it takes your pride and your commitment and understanding your work to get that ownership that other people will have pride in. If you believe in your work, then others will. So you reflect what you pour into it. You show them the value in their own work. And that's what's starting to happen now. You know, students purchasing students' work as well. So, you know, seeing the value in what they're doing and being able to reward them, like exchange, like, yes, do that. Teach them how to price their work as well.
Well, Curtis, again, we thank you. We are grateful for you providing us with talk about yourself and your work and where you believe your work is going and how you're supporting artists. And we welcome and are happy that you graced the Woody Jones Gallery. And with that, we'll end this. Thank you.
Thank you. Meet everybody.
Hi, Veronica. Nice to meet you.
What's up there, my friend?
How you doing?
Wait, how you like the Villanova? The Villanova
What's
kids?
going on, bro?
I'm in town.
I'm like New York Knicks.
I'm down here somewhere weird.
The MFA show graduated. MFA class graduated yesterday,
Okay.
and that exhibition is up. So I went down.
That's down here?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that was-
Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts. Do you know Jasmine? Jasmine Sabri?
I went there yesterday to go in.
So Jaslyn, we just awarded her the fellowship at Montclair.
Good.
So
It's personal.
of course I went to see, see her and see that, but
I
that wasn't the TV
saw
premiere.
I saw your post. That was a nice picture.